Yeah.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Hendrickson. I am the chairwoman of the Gwinnett County Board of Commissioners, and we are here in our final push to get Carolyn Bourdeax reelected to Congress to represent the 7th District. And it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce Carolyn. We all know her as the Congresswoman who has done remarkable work in this community on the ground level in forging partnerships and contributing to investments in our community and ensuring that our underprivileged and those who are disenfranchised have a voice in Washington and also here in Gwinnett County. I know her as my friend. She is deeply committed and passionate. She is also a mom. She is also a wife. She is also a community servant. She has a servant's heart. Carolyn has been very instrumental in ensuring that Gwinnett County has been put on the map, and we need to make sure that she gets reelected and that we send her back to Washington because there's so much at stake, and we need to make sure that we have a voice who represents Gwinnett County in DC, in Washington, bringing the issues of Gwinnett voters to Washington, and also making sure that we have those investments here in this community. So it is my honor and my privilege to introduce our Congresswoman of the 7th District, Congresswoman Carolyn Bourdeax.
Thank you all so much for coming. Thanks for everybody for showing up. I really, really appreciate it. These are all friends, and there's so many more who couldn't make it, but have been so appreciative of all the wonderful people all across this community who have showed up for me in this campaign, who have been a part of it. This, of course, is our big final push to make sure we turn everybody out and get folks to go vote tomorrow. And I just want to emphasize to everyone that I am very much here for this community. I show up, I listen, I care, and I work very hard with the people here, with Nicole Hendrickson, with Pedro Marin, with Michelle Kang, with Bourdeaux, with all of these different folks here to deliver for this community, and that is what's really so important. Many of you know the story. I started in this race back in 2017. A significant part of it was I woke up on November 9th of 2016 and found out that Donald Trump had been elected president, so that was a big motivation. But another one was, and I'm a professor of public policy at Georgia State, and I just got tired of our elected officials not really having a line of sight to the people of this district. And one of the areas where it was most notable to me was around healthcare and around Medicaid expansion. And Rob Woodall was our former representative, and he had basically 120 to 140,000 constituents who didn't have health insurance. And yet he opposed Medicaid expansion, he opposed the health insurance exchange, he opposed the guarantees of coverage for pre-existing conditions, even as around 15% of his constituents couldn't afford health care. And so this was very much another piece of that campaign. It wasn't just about Trump, it was also about really delivering for this community, recognizing the needs of this community. So I started on this journey in 2017, and of course, if you followed it, in 2018, I ran the closest race in the country. So I took on Rob Woodall, a 4-term Republican incumbent. He had never gotten below 60% of the vote, but with the help of the people standing up here, with many others in the community, we closed a 20 percentage point gap. We did that without much outside help. The National Party did not invest in this race. We did it without campaign staff that had really ever run a campaign before. But it was this valiant effort that everybody just got out and really pushed hard. And we closed the 20 percentage point gap, and I came within 433 votes of flipping the seat. And after that, I did not give up. I did not quit. We had gotten close. I had not prevailed. But I turned around and I ran again. And again, it was a huge race. This time, the National Party did invest in 2020, and it took an enormous effort. We went out, we knocked the doors, we made the phone calls, we raised the money, we did the TV, all of that great stuff. I had 100 young people in that race from all across this community, 850 volunteers. And that time we were able to push it across the line. And that time I was the only Democrat in the country to flip a seat. And I just want to touch on how important that was. There were 33 challengers that the Democrats had identified. Not a single one of them made it, except for me here in this community, in this district. There were 13 incumbents who lost. And so the Democrats had a 5-vote margin. We have that to this day. And this community was really important in making sure that Democrats actually had control of the House, and we were very instrumental in the Senate races as well. I touch on all of this because I think the popular media thinks that in 2018 and 2020, all of this magically happened because of demographic change. But I want to point out that Gwinnett was diverse well before 2018, but not a single Democrat held a county, school district, or city office really in the entire county. And the legislative delegation was dominated by Republicans. There was demographic change, but it took the sweat equity of myself and the people behind me, Nicole Hendrickson, the first Black woman elected to be county chair here. It was our work and that effort that made this transformation happen. So what happens next? In 2021, I and many of the other people here who were elected in that wave, we set out to represent this district and work with these wonderful, diverse communities to deliver for this community. I want you all to know I have showed up for this community. I have done over 240 community events, 17 town halls. I think a huge number of people, including probably every single person up here, has my cell phone number. And probably many of you all do as well. And they use it. And I use it too, to check in on them so that we understand and we are working together to address the needs of this community. And we together, this coalition, have worked together on piece after piece of legislation, on initiative after initiative, each grounded in the stories and the needs of this community and of our community. And I just want to touch on a few key ones that are very, very important and kind of represent the partnership that we have had. Many of you know about the American Rescue Plan that passed back in early 2021, and this was the big bill to get COVID under control and to help our schools, our small businesses, our local governments get out of COVID. But we worked not only to pass that legislation, but then to make sure it was delivered at the local level, that that money got to the people who needed it. And one of our major success stories was around eviction prevention. So many of you may have followed this story where there was funding to prevent evictions because of COVID, but it just sat in the bank accounts of local governments all across the country. But with Nicole Hendrickson's leadership, with county representative leadership, we set up Project Reset 2.0 to get that money out the door to the people who needed it. And Gwinnett County now leads the nation in reducing evictions. And I think it's about 17,000 people. And that is because of that federal and local partnership that we've had. That is because we have grounded every single thing we do in the needs of this community. I want you to know, I just knocked a door the other day. This woman was like, "Can you help me? I might be evicted." I'm like, "Why, yes, I can help you." Which is a wonderful thing to be able to say. And I've had people come up to me and say, "You know, you saved my life." And there were situations where people's furniture was out by the curb and we were able to pick them up and get them back into their home because of this program. So that's one piece of this much bigger picture. We also had money in the American Rescue Plan for public health, for mental health, and I had a COVID-19 task force, and we found out that there was a gap in need in Centerville. So with Nicole Hendrickson, with the county commissioners, with the local partnerships, we created a one-stop shop center that is going to go into Centerville to help with mental health and public health in that area where we saw there's a gap in terms of service. I worked on the PPP Extension Act that saved over 270,000 small businesses and allowed them to access $5 billion, and that's in Georgia alone. I've worked on an abandoned malls bill that came past driving past Gwinnett Place Mall. It is an area where we need to redevelop. I'm of course working on the big picture items like expanding Medicaid, and have introduced the legislation in Congress with Senator Warnock to expand Medicaid in Georgia. And there is project after project like that, grounded in this community, grounded in the diverse needs, that are really the heart of my commitment, and they are why I am running again for the 7th District. The big picture is that I am deeply invested in the democratic project that is Georgia's 7th District. We are diverse in the truest sense of the word. We are Black, Hispanic, white, Asian, gay, straight, moderate, liberal, conservative, and the list goes on and on. We are from here, we are from all over the country, we are from all over the world. And every generation is called on to renew our democracy. Every generation must ask itself the question of whether the center can hold, whether we will come together as one country with a shared vision, or whether we will break apart into our tribal enclaves. It is very fitting that this district was one of the most decisive districts in the country to stand against the tribalism of Trump. Because in Gwinnett, in the diverse communities of this district, is where the future of our democracy is being forged. I'm running again for the 7th District, and I ask for the vote and the support of the people of this community because I understand the vision of this community, the challenge that is the 7th District, in a way that few other people do. So the Republicans did have their way with us in redistricting. They made the 7th more Democratic. They made the 6th District more Republican. And so the big thing that has happened, of course, is that Lucy McBath has decided, rather than to run there, the community that she knows, she has decided instead to come to Gwinnett to run against me here. And I spent a lot of time soul searching about this one. If you go and see earlier events when I was with her, I referred to her as my sister because we had worked together to flip Georgia. And I assure you, if the shoe had been on the other foot, if her district had become more Democratic and mine more Republican, it would not have crossed my mind in a million years to move there and run against her, because I will not abandon this community. This is where everyone has my cell phone number. This is where I worked in the trenches with all of these people and so many others who are not here to flip this district. And this is where, with the help of these wonderful people here with me, we deliver project after project, piece of legislation after piece of legislation, grounded in the needs and the hopes and the aspirations of the people of Gwinnett and the diverse communities of Georgia's 7th District. So I'm here to ask for the vote and the support of the people of this amazing district, and to ask everyone to go vote. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Representative Pedro Marin, who is the father of the Hispanic community here. I was going to say grandfather, but but really has been a leader in the Hispanic community here, was one of the forerunners, one of the early people to flip a seat here, and has really helped lead this county as we have transitioned from a very Republican-dominated one to a Democratic one. And I'm honored to have him here and have his support.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. I'm State Representative Pedro Marin, and I'm a 20-year member of the House of Representatives. So when Congresswoman was referring into the changes of Gwinnett, I've seen it. I've seen it and I felt it. I think the district is one of the most diverse districts with communities from every country. Continues to be critical in holding the line against Trumpism, both in Georgia and nationally. Over the years, the partnership that Congresswoman Bourdeaux has developed with our local communities have been invaluable. She is not only a fierce advocate for practical legislation in Congress that benefits Gwinnett County, but she also drives efforts and delivers resources at the local level. In my 20 years, I've become a bridge between the diverse community, minority community, and state government. And I'm glad that when Congresswoman Bourdeaux was elected, she continued to build on that bridge, to continue to reach out to the diverse communities, to the AAPI community, to the Latino community, very important to the Muslim community. So I think her work in Congress has been very valuable. She's also highly visible in our community, something that, my God, I know a lot of my folks in the back, we all go to everywhere, and wherever we go, we see the Congresswoman also as well, which is that it's important to have that visibility within our district, with our constituents. She has organized, like she had mentioned, over 200 district events. including her annual job fair that connects our diverse career talents to industry leaders and small businesses. Also, we have to send Carolyn back to Congress. She will continue to show up for this district, and she will continue delivering for the district. And again, in my 20 years in office, we had people that were disconnected with our community. Gwinnett was growing. Korean community was, in fact, we are right now in what they call K-Town, Korean town. And 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, this was all empty. And there was vacancies everywhere. And the Korean community took this and they really brought their business mentality to the district, and they raised their kids, and they were really instrumental in this area to be what it is right now. So we don't have time. Tomorrow is decisively. Are we going to continue with the progress of Gwinnett County, or are we going to go back to someone that really doesn't know Gwinnettians? And I think it's important that we make that decision tomorrow. We already, I think, we have made that decision in early voting, but tomorrow we're going to put just a stop into making sure that Carolyn Bourdeax, Congresswoman, continues to serve and continues to represent us. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to turn it into Michelle Kang.
Rep Marin for recognizing Korean community. Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Kang. I'm the Secretary-General of the Atlanta Korean American Committee Against Asian Hate. The committee was established on March 17th, the very next day of the Atlanta shooting, killing 8 innocent people, and 6 were Asian descent women amongst them. I want to be very specific for what Carolyn Bourdeax has been doing. She supports the Korean American and AAPI community, and when the committee held the Stop Asian Hate Vigil on March 25th, she was there and she listened to our grief, our fury, and our frustration. And Carolyn made a voice with us to stop Asian hate, not only making a voice with us, but she also took the action as a Congress member. She worked to pass the COVID-19 Hate Crime Act, which is strengthen our defense against any anti-AAPI violence. She consistently showed up and spoke at many AAPI Asian American community events to support the historically marginalized and underrepresented the community. I support her because she cares about our community and takes action, brings solutions. As Pedro Marin said, and then she organized the 2 job fairs in August 2021 and March 2022 to help small business owners who had suffered from the short staff and damaging their business operations. She helped bring $11.4 billion in infrastructure investment to Georgia. She also is a mother of a 10-year-old son and had worked to bring improved statewide education and health care in Georgia. Tomorrow is the election day. I strongly urge community members in District 7, go out to vote and keep her as our U.S. Congress representative.
Question? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank you all again. We have just a number of really, really important leaders here. Victoria Jones, Lawrenceville, so glad to have you. We've got J.T. Liu, we've got Long Tran here, many others. Sonia Lopez, Beth Moore, many elected officials as well throughout here. And I've been endorsed by over 50 members of the community. And if you go look at who they are, it really is people who are leaders in this community. And I am so honored and so grateful to have this support. With that, I will open it up to questions and anything that, no? Good. Taking care of everything. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, having covered a lot of your events, one of the key things is the theme of coalition building
Yeah.
and engagement. And for people who this might be their first time connecting, how would you say those two things have really helped in regards to your 2 years already in Congress, but hopefully gaining the trust of the people to go back?
Yeah, I just think it is so important, and I don't know how many people have come up to me as I've done this, and just, it's been really very special. Everybody's been encouraging me, like, God, you solved this problem for us. We so appreciate it. We've got you. We've got your back. And but it is also, I don't do it for political reasons. Ultimately, I do it because I love doing it. I love solving the problems. And one of the bills we introduced was the Work Act, which was to help people coming out of incarceration to get apprenticeships and to get jobs, right? And there, we were able to bring together faith leaders from the different communities, the Chamber of Commerce, Gwinnett Technical College, right? And that's just like one piece. We build these communities to help solve these problems that both are good for the business community, but also deal with racial justice and social justice as well. And I just think there's, it brings me joy to do that, and that is also what I try to bring to the campaign and I try to bring to the community. Yeah.
Okay, so I have 2 questions.
Sure.
So one, if you win tomorrow, to what extent do you want Congresswoman Lucy McBeth to support you heading into the general election? And then 2, should the race go into a runoff, what, if any, will your campaign do to change up how you've been doing to win the runoff? I know that was asked weirdly, but.
So yes, I would want her support, right? We have our differences, obviously, but at the end of the day, to my mind, unfortunately, the Republicans have really, they've lost their minds. They're getting ready to lock women up for, 10 years for a, potentially for a miscarriage. They have dramatically undermined democracy. They're fighting over whether our elections are real or not, over the lie about our elections. So yes, we will come together at the end of the day. In terms of a runoff, I'm here for this community. I am running exactly, in essence, the same campaign as before, which is very much grounded in this community and grounded in a very coalition building type strategy to solve the problems for this community. And that is what I would do going forward as well.
So 50 plus 1 is what we need.
50 plus 1
I
is
love
what we
it.
got to get
I
in
love it.
Georgia. Yeah, good. All right. Thank you guys.
Done it before.
All right. Thanks so much for coming. And they're available to answer questions.
Yes.